There was a whitetail buck running towards your place. I didn't get a good look and see what quality he was. I was going to see if we could go take a look. I think he looked like he was heading for the field from hell. And
really?
I was just going to see if I could take a look at him and see if he's something worth shooting.
Oh yeah, go right ahead.
He was covering ground. I mean, he's looking for does.
Okay.
So yeah, I think whitetail rut's in full swing right now. Thank you, sir. Yep. Bye.
Bye.
Well, we got the okay for a rancher that I want to give a hand to all the time, so that's good. I'm gonna pull some antlers down so we can do a little rattling. You gotta try. Treacherous proposition. That'll work just fine. All right, let's get another use for the sheds you find in the mountains. Whew, chilly this morning. Had a little cold front come in last night. We got, half inch of snow or so. But with the weather's changed like this, these whitetails are running. So if we can find this one we saw, he looked like a decent buck. I don't know if he was a giant, but looked like a decent buck. And in this neck of the woods, if you can find a decent one, you better take it. It's just, we don't have the genetics like they do back in the Midwest. It's a little different hunting too, a lot of spot and stock for these mountain bucks. So get out here and make sure scope zoomed out. This is kind of cool, a little different. This is kind of a mountain scrape here. You can see where deer was digging and kicking the dirt, spreading the dirt out, making a scrape. It's just a little different than the normal whitetail woods you normally see. Up here just on the base of a mountainside. And this is where I generally find the biggest whitetails in the mountains is the big bucks will be up in the timber all summer long. And then they come down here on the edge of these pastures and find does to breed them, and then they disappear right back in the mountains again. But it's just only during the rut that you normally see them. They're just usually up in the thickest, nastiest stuff, and there's just nobody up there that messes with them until they get into the rut mode and they're covering ground. We did see some tracks really moving hard uphill. Could have been the buck that we'd seen, I'm not quite sure. We're not going to take that for granted. We're going to head back up. We're kind of where we saw them. Find a good little spot, do a little rattling sequence, and see if we can get them to pull out of the woods there. But pretty neat. You know, this is the kind of thing you don't see every day. He's a shooter. He's definitely a shooter. Where'd he go in the timber? Which one's bigger? The front one's bigger. Let's go over here, come on. Here comes that doe. The buck's in doe. That buck's holding up right now. I don't know if that's a big one or not. Wait, that buck's gonna go right back to the doe. That doe's just bedded down right here. I can just see the buck. I can see one of the bucks behind this tree. I don't know where the other one is. I think that's gonna be the biggest buck because he's close to that doe. Here he comes. There he is. You ready? You on him? I get him? He's coming right at us. Okay. Yeah, dude. Dude, the doe just took off running that way. He's got to be right here. Stay with me. Oh, dude, both shots felt real good. There he is. Yeah. Got him. Awesome. I'm just trembling right now, dude. I'm just shaking. That was amazing. We got up, and where we'd seen that buck last, he was still standing in the middle of the field. This one's got nice long tines. Looks like only a 4x, it might be a 4x5. But we sat there and was watching him, and he's 268 yards. I was just getting ready to set up. Camera guy's getting up behind me, getting ready to get on him, and he disappeared. I said, where'd he go? Did he go in the woods? He's like, yeah. So like, okay, we're sitting there getting ready. We're underneath us, and I was like, I looked down, and at like 40 yards, they come bolting through, 2 bucks chasing a doe. The front buck was the biggest. I think this was him. What a morning. It's the 20th of November, and these whitetails are just chasing like crazy. So great time to get out. What a blast. I don't know how I've let all those buck tags just pass up in the past, but you know, I just always like taking a decent representative for the area. And the bucks here are nothing like they are back in the Midwest where I grew up back in Minnesota. They don't have the beam length, they don't have the mass, they don't have the tine length. But I think I shot a beautiful representation of the bucks that are around this area, and I couldn't be more proud. I can't wait to get down there and get my hands on them. Another tag filled, more meat for the freezer. Ready for Sausage Fest 2015. You can't run it right towards us, and I figured that first one was a good hit, but when you get an animal running after you shoot and you got a chance to put another hole in them, last thing I want them to do is suffer. I felt the first one was good, but with that recoil and that scope, it's real hard to tell, so I got back on him and touched another one off just before he came right between the hill and I, and he just piled up, so. Oh, he is a 9-point. Missing one here. Little brows on him. Yeah, he's got, you know, a nice little 9-point. Pretty face on him. Yeah, pretty buck. You know, this is a wonderful representation of what's around here. They'll get a little heavier horn than him, but you know, if you get something like this, it's hard to pass on it. All you can see he's been fighting. That's pretty cool. He's got a bunch of hair peeled off his face here. I think he's been fighting with that other buck. But beautiful buck. This is gonna be our summer sausage and some bratwurst for the year, so nice mountain buck. Don't do a whole lot of tree stand hunting around here, kind of spot and stalk whitetails, which is a little different than I was used to growing up back in Minnesota, but you know, some of my friends joke that I should spell my name ADDIM. I just have a hard time sitting still, so spot and stalk for me works perfect, and in this scenario it turned out great. General deer 20th. Get them on the deer and we'll get them home. Woo!
Montana Full Circle is brought to you by Buffalo Bore Ammunition, Strictly Business, Leupold Optics, Slumberjack, CVA, Bergara, Bogpod, Caldwell, Tipton, Nanook, Heat Factory, Chef's Choice, Pete Ryer, Zenick, Western Wall Tents, Bitterroot Brewing, and Montana Department of Agriculture reminds you to educate yourself on the harmful effects of noxious weeds.